Hey guys, welcome back to Coffee and Cartridges. We're going to talk a little bit about reloading today and about whether it's worth getting into, cost versus results. So stay tuned. So let's just talk about that today. Are you going to save money by getting into reloading? So first of all, the quick answer is definitely short-term, no. Long-term, maybe. That's the quick answer. But we're going to go more into it today. So a good way to think about this is reloading versus hand loading. They're kind of the same thing, but specifically, you don't have to reload your ammunition. You can buy brand new brass that's never been shot before, and you can put the components together with a press and with a scale and weighing your powder measure and all that, and you can create hand-loaded ammunition. You don't have to start with once fired brass or multiple times fired brass to begin the process. So there really should be a distinction between reloading and hand loading. But even if you do have once fired brass and you're reloading it, it still could be classified more as hand loading versus reloading. So what am I saying here? Because they're kind of the same thing. But when I talk about hand loading, I'm talking about working up a custom load designed for the optimum results in your rifle. And when I talk about reloading, it's just saving your brass from rounds you have previously shot so that you can reload those brass with new primer, new powder, new bullets, and yet not have to buy brass again. So one of the four components to a rifle cartridge is being reused, therefore saving money. Like I said, short term, you're not saving money because you got to get the equipment. Now, there are some very bare bones packages out there that you technically can get the job done, and you'll be getting a reasonable value for the low cost that you're going to put into it. Now, let's say that your goal is that you shoot a lot, and that you shoot a lot of 9mm, or you shoot a lot of 223, and you just are shooting at targets. So in that case, it's not for precision. Probably it's not even for hunting. You just literally like to shoot, like to go out to a little, short distance range and just plink, shoot targets, break, soda bottles, whatever the case. In that case, it would probably suit you best to get one of those cheaper valued packages. And yeah, if you save all your brass, in the long term, you'll definitely be saving money doing it that way. If you're loading hunting ammunition, you're going to take a little bit more care in developing the load, because the fact that you're trying to be ethical in your hunting when it comes to the lethality of your shot placement and the accuracy and precision of that load is just going to warrant you being more precise and looking more into the details of how you're loading it. And then the ultimate, of course, is long-range competition. They're going to go to the extreme. They're going to get, 100 times more money than what I'm going to put into this reloading bench. They're going to have 100 times more money invested for their competition, because there's no leaf unturned. There's nothing that they have not looked into. Every detail is like a finely manicured, well-oiled machine. So you've got different levels. You've got just plinking, you've got hunting, and then you've got long-range competition shooting. And then somewhere in between hunting and long-range competition is just long-range shooting for fun, which a lot of people like to do, including myself. You just develop a load, see how accurate you can get it. You can use the ladder test, you can use whatever method, and then you want to stretch it out there to maybe 300 or 400 yards, eventually out to 1,000 yards or more, and see if you can hit a target just for fun. You're definitely going to have to be a little bit more precise than your just average hunting load. And you're probably going to have a little more high-end components, more VLD style bullets or match target bullets versus a standard hunting load cup and core style bullet. And so it's going to be up there, but it's not going to be to the level of a professional F-class shooter who their reloading bench basically is a reloading room, and it looks like a laboratory. Let's take this back down to just the everyman. Let's exclude the competition shooters and the professional shooters because they're going above and beyond, and I have no experience in such matters. So we'll just get back to someone getting into it, someone thinking about it, and trying to decide whether it's for them and whether it's cost efficient. So again, you can go pretty cheap and get a package that you can basically do the minimum and barely get by and get the job done. But if you're wanting to hunt ethically, especially at 200 to 500 yard distances potentially, or you're shooting for fun but you're looking for a precision load, you're gonna probably need to step up a little bit from that basic entry-level package that you can obtain. So as you can see behind me, I've got that press. I've got another press here. I'm really using this only for decapping. That's going to be my main press back there. Technically, you just need one press. These are single stage presses. Of course, you can get a single stage that has a turret so that you can have multiple die on top. And of course, you can get progressive, and you can get one that it's just fully automatic. You just put the right components in the right places and turn it on and walk away. So from this to the highest end progressive, there's many, many options, of course. But say you just want to get something like this Rock Chucker Supreme behind me, around $150, $175, you can do that. Mount it to a good solid base. You're going to have some kind of scale. I'm in the process of getting a good scale. There are cheap alternatives, but you really want to make sure that your scale is accurate, because the weight of your powder is probably the most vital component and vital process of reloading, making sure that you're not putting more than you think or less than you think of that particular powder. So you need a good scale, you need a press, you need a way to seat the bullet, so you're going to have to get a die set, just like one of these here. Most die sets will come with a resizing die and a die to seat the bullet. You can get one or the other, but generally they come as a set. You're going to need a way to put that primer in the brass. Now, some presses like that one have a little arm on there that can seat your primer. If not, you can start with a little hand primer that you put in one at a time manually and go up to very expensive primers that you can bolt down to a bench. But that's basically what you're going to have to have. You're going to have dies, a press, a scale, and a primer seater. And like I said, some of that could be on your press, but some may not. And you might think, well, that's all I need, and I can get that for $400 or $500, and then I'm pretty well done. That is true. But if you really want to make good ammunition, you're going to want to think about a few more things. First of all, after you've shot your brass and after you've resized it, it's very possible that your brass has stretched and it actually is longer than it needs to be, and you need to trim that brass. So you're going to have to get a method of trimming. There's a million ways to do that, and there's plenty cheap ways that work just fine, and some more expensive ways. But you're going to have to think about that. You're going to have to trim your brass. And then you're going to have to prep your brass. Even though it's been resized and trimmed, you're going to need to, especially if it's been trimmed, you're going to make sure you chamfer and deburr the rim of that neck so that it's smooth and there's nothing hindering the bullet as it comes out. Probably will want to clean your primer pocket. Don't have to, but you probably should. You also could invest in some type of dry or wet tumbler to clean your brass. This is something you could do without. You don't have to clean your brass, but once again, if you're looking for precision, you probably want to take out as many variables as possible, and starting with clean brass every time is a good way to do that. Now, going back to trimming your brass, how do you know if it's the right length? Well, you need to get some calipers. And you want to get some decent calibers. This is like a $50 caliber, not that big of a deal. But you definitely need a micrometer, or what I call a caliber, to make so you can verify down to like the thousandths of an inch that your case is the right length. Plus, your overall cartridge length, you'll need a micrometer for that. You'll need to know the overall cartridge length. And the most accurate way to do that is going by the ogive and not by the bullet tip, because the bullet tip can be so different, especially a soft point. It's just, none of them are the same, but the ogive will always be the same. So you might need to get a bullet comparator kit to go on your micrometer to get a more precise cartridge overall length measurement. And you could just go on and on and on. What if you seat a bullet incorrectly, or you forgot to put powder in it, or you just did something wrong and you want to pull that bullet? Well, you're going to have to get a way to pull that bullet and start over. And I'm really just scratching the surface. This could go on and on and on to get more precise and more precise and more precise. You might want to measure the overall length. And how do you do that? You need something like this, where you can literally get the overall length, measure it out, so you know about your seating depth and where you're going to want that bullet to be away from the jam or the lands of the rifling. You really need to know where it comes in contact with the rifling, and then back it up to 20 thousandths or more. And then if you're really looking for accuracy, you're going to want to shoot several loads at several seating depths. And once again, you need a micrometer for that. You need the comparator to go on the micrometer, but you're also going to know where the starting point needs to be with that overall length measurement tool. And you're going to want to measure multiple groups at multiple seating depths to try and figure out where it's the most accurate. Of course, you can get into bullet concentricity, neck concentricity, which I personally am not going to worry too much about. But I am going to get some neck expander mandrels so that I know that the neck always has the exact same tension on the bullet. So in that case, I'm going to take out the expander ball out of my die and just use the resizing die only. You know, it's a full length resizing die, but it's not going to resize the neck. I'm going to use a neck mandrel for that to get the exact tension every time. And I'm also going to get a set from Frankfurt Arsenal that has a micrometer on a seating die, kind of a universal seating die, so I can be very exact when it comes to how I seat bullets. Hey, this is me in post, realizing I didn't talk about reloading manuals. Please don't do guesswork when reloading ammunition. Get good manuals like this to definitely give you some expertise and a great place to get started. And that's just my little setup. And this is very low end, very cheap setup, but yet there's still so many things that I need. And you add all this up, even though there's not much here, and I haven't fully got my system set up yet, my bench set up, the money just keeps tacking on. You just keep tacking on. That tackle box is full of little things I've bought, but every little thing I bought was between $10 and $25. Little tools, little things going on. So it really starts to add up in a hurry. But with me personally, I'm not really worried about recouping the money by saving money in the reloading process. I'm more focused on hand loading. I know that getting this set up is kind of a one-time cost, and hopefully I can maintain this equipment and not have to go beyond it. But I'm never really trying to save money because I'm buying a lot of new brass. I will reload brass, of course. I'm also getting fairly high-end components, or trying to if I can find them. And I'm just, in all honesty, having a good time reloading or hand loading high-end, accurate, precise ammunition for fun, just to see how close I can get. Also, following that same process with a hunting bullet, so I've got good, accurate ammunition for when I go hunting, so that I know I'm making the best shot possible, and that if there's a screw up, it's not the ammunition, it's on me. So really you need to ask yourself, am I doing this for hunting or long-range target shooting to be as precise as possible? If that's what you're doing, more than likely you're thinking about hand loading. And in that case, the answer to the question is it going to pay for itself? In the short term, no, and probably in the long term, no. Because you're always going to be wanting to go a little further. You're always going to be wanting to upgrade something back here. You're always going to be wanting to get a new cartridge. And then you have to start over with new dies, new this, new that. And so it'll probably never pay for itself. But in that case, it's not about saving money in the first place. It's about having custom ammunition, customized to your gun, customized to your hunting and shooting needs. But if all you have is a 30-30 and a 9mm handgun and a 12-gauge shotgun, and all you do is buy factory ammunition, but you'd like to get a very bare bones reloading setup to reuse some of those shells and cases, mainly for plinking and very short range hunting, yes, in the long term, it will be worth your time and your money to invest in reloading at the beginning. So hopefully that answers the question, will reloading save me money? The overall answer is, it depends and maybe, but probably not.